Welcome to Sleepover Cinema, where we analyze the films that created the collective unconscious of your no-good, dirty, rotten, pig-stealing great-great-grandfather. I'm Hannah Leach.
And I'm Audrey Leach. We are the sister filmmaking duo, also known as toopinkpictures, and we have not stopped thinking about these movies since we first saw them.
We're going to explore the good, the bad, and the nonsensical of the movies that first inspired our love for film in an attempt to answer the question, are these movies actually good? And at the end of the day, do we really care if they are?
Today, we are talking about 2003's Holes.
You and your family will be cursed for always and eternity.
Walt Disney Pictures brings the award-winning book to life. Holes.
My name is Stanley Yelnats. All my life, I seem to be in the wrong place at the wrong time. My grandpa says it's because of this 150-year-old curse.
There's no curse on this family.
There is on the men in this family.
It's all because of your no-good, dirty, rotten, pig-stealing great-great-grandfather.
Welcome to Camp Green Lake.
Where's the lake?
This is Stanley.
Everyone in my family names their son Stanley because it's Yelnats backwards.
Well, that's interesting.
Did you tell him about the lizards?
You don't bother them, they won't bother you. Usually.
Now, to break his family's curse,
It's destiny.
he'll have to solve a mystery
What do you say we dig one more hole?
Why?
I feel lucky.
and find what's hidden at Camp Green Lake.
What is that?
I think I might have found something.
What'd you find?
You better get down here.
And the D10 will stick together.
Stanley!
My name is X-Ray.
Magnet. Zigzag.
Boom.
This is Zero.
It's armpit.
you stink!
Clearly, it's a special day once again because Audrey and I are together in real life and we're in the same frame if you are watching the video version. So I am basking in the glorious glow of Audrey's ring light. And we are here together. But also today is really special because back by popular demand, Yhara Zayd is joining us for the second half of the episode because we didn't want to make her sit there and be like, yeah, Shia LaBeouf was in this.
And yeah, Shia LaBeouf sucks now.
Yeah, we just didn't want to put her through that. So, she is watching us record the first half, though. So we do have a live audience today, but it's just her, and she's on Zoom and muted. But we are looking at her beautiful face right now, and she is with us.
Yes.
She's like backstage being like, hee hee, like,
Yeah.
like that's the vibe. And she's on this episode because she made this really incredible video on Holes and the parallels within the movie to the prison industrial complex. And we're going to talk more about that in the second half of the video. But before we do that, we are going to get into the facts as we always do. This movie, Holes, was released on April 18th, 2003 and was directed by Andrew Davis. Two of his notable credits are The Fugitive, starring Harrison Ford, and Under Siege with Steven Seagal. Seagal? What do you know about those movies?
I don't.
You don't know anything?
No.
Wow. For
Why
once, it's not
would-
just me. Okay, all these correspondent
men do.
Yhara is letting us know in our ear that Steven Seagal sucks. So he sucks.
I'm sure Harrison, I don't know his. I don't know him personally, but this does not make sense. Like, these are very like serious, like Andrew Davis really took on Holes with like the fury of like
He grabbed Holes by the horns
with like a adult director perspective. I don't know.
This is a Disney movie. Interesting, considering a lot of the things contained within it. The screenplay was written by Louis Sacker, who also wrote the novel, which was like this wildly popular young adult novel that I read a bunch of times when I was a kid. And you can definitely tell that it's written by the same person, just because it's like super true to the source material, but like also changes where it's needed. And not to spoil anything, but it's very good. Audrey, would you like to read this plot synopsis? The first one is blasphemous, and it's from Rotten Tomatoes, and then the second one is somewhat better, and it's from IMDb.
Okay. So the bad one is a boy and his friends question the motives of a woman, Sigourney Weaver, who forces them to dig holes at a detention camp.
As if the movie is just about questioning the motives of Sigourney Weaver.
Questioning the motives.
Like, a boy and it's not just that, it's a boy and his friends question the motives, and then they only mention Sigourney Weaver. I just found that really funny. But the second one's a bit better.
Yeah, the second one is a wrongfully convicted boy is sent to a brutal desert detention camp where he joins the job of digging holes for some mysterious reason. This is not better.
It's not good. Better. It's not good, but it's better than a boy and his friends question the motives. Like, hello. Just no.
And then we've got some taglines here. We have 4, but I don't know. This first one's kind of strange. The first one is, "The book is now the movie." Thank you for stating the obvious. The second one is, "The adventure is down there, ... Start digging April 18th.
See, I kind of love that. That one's good.
The adventure is down there instead of like out there, maybe. Yeah.
It was probably the picture where they're all looking down into the hole, you know?
Yeah, that's kind of cute.
Yeah.
I kind of like that. The third one is, some secrets are too big to keep hidden. Okay. And the fourth one is, can you dig it?
Great.
I feel like that one it like made it onto the board of ideas, and they were like, we can't not. We got to put it on something.
Yeah, definitely. And then, okay, we have to get into this cast. There's a lot of people in the cast. But so I just went with the bigger ones because we'd be talking about the cast forever if we did every single person. But first of all, we have the now infamous Shia LaBeouf as Stanley Yelnats, and I'm pretty sure this was like his first big role in a movie because they say introducing Shia LaBeouf in the credits. But he was in Even Stevens around the same time, which obviously that's like how we were all introduced to him for the most part on Disney Channel. But he was also in Honey Boy, Peanut Butter Falcon.
Bad.
Did you not like that movie?
What, Peanut Butter Falcon?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's bad.
Wait, did you really think that?
Did you see it?
Shockingly, yes.
You enjoyed that. What?
Well, I didn't. You didn't?
No.
Why?
Because I can't remember exactly now, but I remember how much I thought it was just shit. I just thought it was bad. What did you like about it?
I was entertained.
I also saw it on a date.
Oh.
It was bad.
You did?
Yeah. So I'm sure that also added to why I didn't like it, because it was bad.
I saw it at the beginning of quarantine. My friend Bex started like a movie club with me and 2 of her friends who were other people that went to college with me, but I didn't know that well. And so I like got to know them post college through this movie club, and that was one of the movies that we watched. I thought it was pretty good.
It was like very like mediocre, like
yeah.
And I wish
I had never seen anyone with Down syndrome in a leading role before, though.
That was like the most notable thing about it, for sure. But Shia LaBeouf, I don't know why Dakota Johnson said yes.
Oh yeah, I forgot she was in that.
That was stupid.
Okay, wow. Well,
and Honey Boy also, I feel like I could talk about for a while.
Yeah, all I know is that the people in my life who liked that movie are a very specific type.
Steer clear.
Yeah. Okay, anyway, he was also in Transformers. And in terms of like things he's infamous for, sort of in escalating badness, like the first thing that it was like just acting, was like his whole performance art stunt with like sitting in the room with a bag on his head, like the whole I'm not famous anymore thing. And then he got like arrested a bunch of times, like had a lot of substance abuse issues, and like that doesn't make him a bad person. That just happens to be a thing about him. But what does make him a bad person is that he had been in a relationship with FKA Twigs, and ultimately she like sued him for sexual battery, assault, and infliction of emotional distress. But
of course he like still continues to get like job offers and shit. The man is severely in need of help. But yeah, I don't know.
We aren't there. We don't know him, but it seems like a messy time. And then next up, Yara's gonna get mad about this. We have Cleo Thomas as Zero, and when I was looking at his credits, okay, here's the thing: I don't watch that much stuff, so a lot of the time when I pick credits for people, I really just pick the only things I recognize. But I have this written down: Shameless and other random little parts, TBH, not to be rude. So I'm probably wrong. Do you know any more things that he's in? Okay, well, you know what?
No, but Yara does.
Do you want to tell us?
Please line in.
Please be our correspondent again. This just in from roving reporter Yara. He was also in Roll Bounce, which is a black teen comedy. We haven't seen it. But you know what? I bet it's great. I know that Yara, yes. Okay. That's for another episode. Maybe that's the next thing that we'll talk about with Yara. Okay. Anyway. And then next up we have Sigourney Weaver as the warden. And like, she's the one. She's quite famous, quite talented. But she's primarily known for Alien, Alien 2, Working Girl, Galaxy Quest, and Avatar, I guess. Do you have things to say?
No.
Okay. Why'd you make that noise?
Because Avatar is weird.
Oh, it's the James Cameron one.
Yeah.
I don't really know anything about it other than that it made a bunch of money.
You didn't see it?
No.
Oh, wow.
Just like to spite myself.
Yeah.
I guess.
I saw it in, I guess, 7th grade. I think that's when it came out. And I didn't know what was going on, but
yeah.
Good times.
I have not seen it. I know that there's a Avatar world in Disney, because of my hobby of watching weird Disney World content.
Niche Disney World content.
So, our shared hobby that we both started without talking to each other and
then
discovered that we both do it. Okay. And then next up we have the infamous Jon Voight as Mr. Sir. Very much a great performance. We talk a lot about him in the second half. But first and foremost, he's in the Bratz movie, as we have discussed.
His most crucial work.
Yes. But he was in Midnight Cowboy. He was also in Coming Home, and he won an Oscar in that movie, and he was like playing someone who was paraplegic, which is like very classic like white man thing to do. But I actually looked up like one of his scenes from that movie, and he did do a really good job, so I was like, okay, like it was like a monologue scene, and I was like, okay, this is pretty compelling. I don't really know anything about the movie though.
I loved Midnight Cowboy actually, so I would recommend it.
They made us watch it in school.
Yeah, that makes sense.
And it's really good. And then we have Tim Blake Nelson as Officer Pendanski. These are the credits I chose. Oh Brother, Where Art Thou? Hulk with a bunch of question marks. Unbreakable Kimmy Schmidt with the slanty emoji face, and then Scooby-Doo 2 Monsters Unleashed. So that's what I have for him. We have to do some Scooby-Doo episodes because I really don't know those movies all that well.
What, like the cartoon or the live
action ones?
Well, there's only one, I thought.
Well, there's Scooby-Doo 2 Monsters Unleashed.
There's two.
There's gotta be the one before.
Oh, interesting.
This is the one with Mr. Bean in it, I'm pretty sure. Scooby-Doo 2. Okay, well, I have some memories of the second one that I know you were there for, so we'll talk about that when we get there one day. And then next up we have Patricia Arquette as Kissin' Kate Barlow. So she was in Medium, Boardwalk Empire, The Act, CSI Cyber. She's also in Boyhood, and to me though, she's Kissin' Kate first and foremost in my heart. Okay, and then next we have Dule Hill as Sam the Onion Man. He was in Psych and The West Wing, which I feel like everyone has somehow been on The West Wing, but he was on The West Wing, and he was in the show Suits. So he's also beautiful. I think he's so beautiful. Last but not least, obviously, we have the Eartha Kitt as Madame Zeroni. And so maybe you're hearing this name and you're like, I don't really know who that is. Let me clarify that you do know who she is. She had like this huge music career where all of her big songs were like about being a sugar baby or like being like the wife to like a wealthy man. I'm not exaggerating. Like if you go to her Spotify profile, like all of her top songs are like about spending a man's money, and like we love that. She also was the singer on the most famous version of Santa Baby. Like I'm pretty sure she was the first person to ever like let that song out as a single. And if none of that is doing it for you, she's also the voice of Yzma in Emperor's New Groove. Mm-hmm. That's big. She was Catwoman in the 60s Batman. And maybe part of why you may not recognize her name is that she actually kind of like suffered a substantial professional setback because she was really anti-war in the 60s. So like she went to this White House luncheon and she apparently like picked a fight with Lady Bird Johnson and made her cry because she said this, quote, "You send the best of this country off to be shot and maimed. They rebel in the street. They don't want to go to school because they're going to be snatched off from their mothers to be shot in Vietnam." But according to this source that I found, the public reaction to Kitt's statements was even more extreme, both for and like it was just really polarizing, the fact that she said it. And she ended up being quote unquote professionally exiled from the US, and she devoted her energies to overseas performances for nearly a decade. So like
Eartha deserved better.
Imagine being that iconic and controversial and being like, I'm off to Paris to
like,
do my one-woman show for a decade.
Yeah,
you know?
Y'all can shut the fuck up. I'm leaving to go live a better life.
Yeah, like, and she lived a long life too. I think she died like maybe 10 years ago or so, but she was active for a long time.
Yeah, and if you like want to get a vibe for her personality, there are some great like compilations of her just talking on YouTube that are just really life-giving.
Totally.
And like, they would like just make me cry. I don't even know why. There's just something about her.
There's no one like Eartha Kitt, you know?
Yeah.
She's so specific. And actually that reminds me, there's another reason why you might know who she is, which is because Jujubee was her on the Snatch Game of Love on Drag Race.
Oh God.
Recently.
If that's your point of reference,
that shouldn't be it, but like I don't know your life. That might have been your entry point. So that's also a thing that could help you.
I'm glad we talked about her for that long.
Yeah, she deserves it.
So the budget for Holes was $20 million, and on box office opening weekend it made $16,300,155. So sort of a sleeper hit, I'm thinking, for Disney. Yeah. The overall worldwide gross is $71,232,214. So they got there, obviously.
Yes.
But I get it. It's not what I don't think everyone like everyone and their mothers would be rushing out to watch Shia LaBeouf
people going like this. Like,
like
running.
Like, I feel like it's for Disney, it'd be like, oh, I think Holes is still in theaters. Maybe we should go see that.
Yeah. They also played it on the Disney Channel a lot. Yeah. Which I think is probably how we saw it for the first time.
Probably.
Yeah.
Yeah. There's a 78% critic score on Rotten Tomatoes, and the critic consensus is faithful to its literary source. This is imaginative. No, this is an imaginative, intelligent family entertainment. Wait, what?
This is imaginative, intelligent.
Oh, I see. I'm gonna say it again. The critic consensus is faithful to its literary source. This is imaginative, intelligent family entertainment.
There's a lack of one crucial comma there.
Yeah.
And that's what did it, and I apologize.
What messed me up.
So then I just picked a few critic reviews, like some highlights from some critic reviews. So this one is from PJ Nabarro, who sucks, according to my notes. He said, "This Burton-esque slice of Southern whimsy works much better on the page than it does on screen, where its events transpire arbitrarily and seem less organic. It's not Burton-esque at all." Big thumbs down.
Big thumbs down from Yhara, yeah.
Yes. And then we have Ed Park of The Village Voice, who said, "Brims with storytelling flourishes and gently deployed life lessons that even accompanying adults may dig. Yeah. And then, of course, as any aspiring media analyst does, I found a Roger Ebert line about this movie, and he said, "I walked in expecting a movie for 13-somethings and walked out feeling challenged and satisfied." So I agree that that's a good explanation of what the experience is like. And then there's a 76% audience score, best summed up by this one audience review. This is from Chase S. He says, "If you don't like holes, then fuck you." And quite. That is absolutely true.
Correct.
Yeah. So instead of doing our little pop culture moment here, I thought that it would be good to just provide a little bit of context about the success of the book. Because the success of the book is what really brought about Disney like acquiring the rights and making the movie in the first place. So this is a little excerpt that I found. "The book was both a critical and commercial success. Much of the praise for the book has centered around its complex plot, interesting characters, and representation of people of color and incarcerated youth. It won the 1998 U.S. National Book Award for Young People's Literature and the 1999 Newbery Medal for the year's most distinguished contribution to American literature for children." And you know, if the Newbery Award is mentioned, people are not fucking around. In 2012, it was ranked number 6 among all-time children's novels in a survey published by School Library Journal. So this book has a lot of clout in the young adult sphere. And clearly it was enough clout for Disney to want to acquire it and make a movie out of it. So good for
That's
Lewis.
a high amount of clout.
Yeah, if it's just on that alone, like, whoa. So, and then here we would normally talk about the things we remember from childhood about this movie, surrounding this movie, but we are going to talk about that with Yhara in the second half. So
yeah, well, we're going to have a longer second half. So
yeah, so we now will invite you to fire up your Disney Plus or the Disney Plus of a friend or loved one and go give it a watch. Make yourself a snack, get comfy.
This is a film, guys. You got to watch it properly.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yes. And you can meet us back here for our little discussion when you're done. Okay, everyone, we are back and we are delivering on our grand promise. Yhara is back and with us. Yay! Welcome.
And we can see her this time.
Yes.
I am so excited to be back. This was a long time coming for us.
Yes, we were gonna record this in May, and then life happened. The summer started,
and it kept on happening. And it just wouldn't stop.
It truly would not stop, but we made it here, and I'm happy that we're finally here. We're not talking about any old movie. We are talking about everyone's favorite deep down holes. So, and Yhara, there's a very specific reason why we asked you to be on this episode, and we'll ask you to go more into depth on it a little bit later. But before we get into all that, when do you think was the first time that you saw Holes, and what were your takeaways from it? Did you read the book? What's the backstory?
So I was familiar with the book. I hadn't read it though. It was, I think, my older brother's, and he had it. So I saw it laying around the house, but I never actually picked it up. It was I didn't like the cover. I'm very shallow.
Neither did I.
So
no,
it was
the cover is not good. The cover's not good.
It wasn't a cover that stuck out to me, but having been an Even Stevens fan, of course, when I knew Holes was coming out, I wanted to see it, and I must have been about 7 years old. And my first impression was that it had to have been one of the weirdest children's movies I had seen, because I hadn't seen anything like that. It was sort of lots of stories interwoven and stuff. And I don't know, I was really attracted to it, but also confused by it.
Yeah.
Yes.
Same. I think it felt a little out of my depth.
Yeah.
I think it was also just really mature.
Yeah.
Especially for the age that we were. It was like, like our first introduction into that kind of story.
Yeah.
Yeah, definitely. When we were rewatching it last night, I wrote down that there's like a lot of like not explicitly named, but like extremely dark forces at play in that movie.
Yes.
Yeah.
And it kind of reminds me, like I had written down, that like, okay, this seems like a reach, but I promise it makes sense, at least to me. Like when I
I'm
first
prepared.
when I first saw this movie, it felt like a real and like good movie in the same way as like when I saw Pirates of the Caribbean for the first time. You know what I'm saying?
No, that's valid.
Yeah.
That is super valid, because actually the other day I was trying to get my niece to watch Pirates of the Caribbean. Not interested at all.
Yeah.
We didn't get very far. But I was thinking about that, and I was thinking about holes for some reason in the same context.
Yeah.
And I couldn't put my finger on it, but I was like, yeah, that makes sense. So that was just like,
good.
Yeah, that's telepathy right
Okay,
there.
good. Yeah. I feel like for me
Good
it's
films.
like good movies with some dark themes, and like there's like male main characters, but I was still able to care somehow. Like those are the things.
Yeah, dark stuff going on, because I think everyone was dead in Pirates of the Caribbean.
Or like drunk or something, you know, cursed.
Lots of stuff going on. And then in Holes, I mean, a kid is getting sent to prison. So like, it's right there in your face.
Yes.
It's dark.
Absolutely. And lots of like sins of the past, like causing issues in the present, you know?
Yes. And that was also very appealing. It was just like all this, I guess I couldn't have put a name to it then, but this theme of comeuppance almost. But
yes,
it was just very intricate, very interesting.
Yes, totally.
Yeah, it's like
surprise. This is actually a versus episode of Pirates of the Caribbean. And no, I'm just kidding. That would actually be kind of good though.
I don't. We should have gone with that.
We should have gone with that. Dang.
Like I would have put on my pirate outfit. It would have been perfect.
Right. Like we would have found.
We would have.
We have found the connection, but we would have found more.
We would have just.
Yes.
Yeah, totally. Okay, so didn't read the book as a kid, but into the movie. Did you read the book after you saw the movie?
Yes, I did.
Yeah.
Because I was like that. I was the type of person that, I mean, I didn't have to read the book before I saw the movie, but if I did see the movie and it was good enough, then I'd be like, oh, now I have to know what happened in the book.
Right.
And yeah, so I went back and I borrowed it. I didn't borrow it. I stole it from my brother and I read it. And he couldn't find it, and I was like, I don't know what happened to it. But it was so good.
Yeah.
And I was like, man, I should have read it sooner. Then I looked at the cover. I was like, damn, shame.
You're like, that's why. It's not a good cover.
Yeah.
Why don't we talk about our childhood associations with it in this half? Is that okay?
Yeah.
What are yours?
I honestly have very little. I don't know why. I don't know. I know I saw it when I was young, but and I know I read the book too, but I think
I might be able to illuminate why.
Yeah, maybe. Because maybe it was like too on the precipice of my long-term memory. I don't know.
Yeah, I really, really, really loved it. Like, I think this is the only book I've ever read more than once, because I don't really reread books. Wow. When I was a kid, I read it multiple times. And my most, like, distinct memory of loving this movie, there's two things. One of them was that I was, like, so into the concept of, like, digging holes afterward that I convinced the younger brother of our neighbors, the Wilsons, with the attached backyard, to dig a hole with me behind his shed.
Oh, yeah.
And so we dug a hole with me behind his shed, and then I decided at the end of digging the hole to tell him that I had a crush on him the whole time, and he was like, that was weird. And I was like, oh. And then we just, like, never addressed it again. But I remember that very specifically.
Wow.
Which is very true to form for me as a child.
Extremely.
Like, painfully. And then the other thing was, did you ever go to those places when you were a kid, or like for someone's birthday party where it's like a pottery place and like you paint a piece of pottery and then they like fire it?
No, I always wanted to, but I was like a laser tag kid.
Okay. That's elite in a different way though.
Yeah.
I remember going to someone's birthday party, and there was like a statue of like a lady with like a full skirt and like a kind of like a riding top almost, and I got her and I painted her like Kissing Kate in the red outfit, and that's where I was at.
Yeah, that's good.
Yeah.
Well, it's funny that you mentioned convincing someone to dig a hole with you, because I didn't get as far as digging a hole, but my mom used to babysit kids, and one of them was close to my age, and we had been playing games, and then we ran out of games, and he was like, well, what do you want to do? And I said, you know what? Let's play Holes. And he was like, what's Holes? And I said, we're going to pretend we're in the movie Holes, and I'm caveman. You be Zero.
So did he dig your hole for you?
Yeah. No, I mean, like, we just, like, we were walking around our house, well, my house, and we were just reenacting scenes, and we were pretending we were climbing God's thumb, and I was really into it. And I remembered all the words. I was just like, yeah.
Oh my God.
This is powerful.
Okay, so...
Well, I actually have a similar thing to that, too. I know that my cousin and I created a dance to... whatever
Dig
that
it?
one song. It's the song where Kiss and Kate Barlow is entering.
It's not Kiss
Or
and
no,
Kate
the
Barlow.
warden. The warden.
It's literally like a deep cut Moby song. Like,
Yeah.
it's not...
Yes. It's isn't it, oh my God, is it Honey?
Yes.
Honey by Moby?
Yes,
Yeah.
yes. Yep.
Oh my God.
Yeah, and so, like, I really remember being at my grandparents' house, like, doing that dance.
Yeah.
For my grandpa.
That is...
For Grandpa specifically.
Like, specifically.
Well, because Grandpa liked Moby. He was like into
he liked the
electronic
song.
music. Yeah.
Nice.
Oh my God. That's
So
really
it's funny that we all have, like, really niche childhood memories that kind of relate.
Right.
It's
Like, we were
Holes.
really dedicated to it at one point.
Yes. It was just that kind of movie, though. It really affects you, you know?
Yeah.
So I guess that should lead us into... So the first thing we'll talk about is specifically good things in this movie. So, like, stuff upon the last time you watched it that you were like, hell yeah, this is so good. I really appreciate this.
I was thinking about how great the source material is, and how, I mean, obviously it wouldn't exist without the source material, but that is the reason why I think it feels like you're watching, like, The Godfather for children.
Yeah.
Like, when you watch it, because
Yeah.
it's not often that, like, a children's movie will have such great source material that is still sophisticated, and, like, the way that was translated and to, like, the editing and the way they shot the movie, and, like, just, like, every choice they made is pretty specific. And normally I hate when footage that is shot in 23:97 frames per second is slowed down. It's, like, put in slow motion to the point where you can see each singular image.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
And Holes does that constantly. And this is the one thing where I think it is a specific choice and I like it.
Yes.
And because they had the capabilities to not do that at the time, but
Right.
it gives sort of like an old-timey, almost like storybook type of feel, because a lot of times they'll do it in, like, transitions between the current story and the stories interwoven, and they'll do it when there's, like, intense emotion, sort of.
Yeah.
I
think they did it when was it the warden's great-grandfather? At one point, like, after that introduction, it slows down with him, and then it transitions back to D-Tit and everything. And it's, it's very smooth.
Yeah, but it's, like, because normally I don't find it to be intentional. It's just that you did not prepare for slow motion, so now you've got
if I see it in any other movie, I'm like, you're just being lazy.
Yeah.
Like,
it's like you actually just did not do this correctly. But this is a good instance where I think it works, and I think it was on purpose. If I'm wrong, then congrats to them. Because they fooled me.
Yeah.
I just really want poison nail polish. Like...
Yes.
Oh, yeah.
Yes.
Rattlesnake venom.
The warden is really hot. It's, like, painful.
Yeah.
Like, especially just to interject for 1 second with that scene, I'm like, why is she like getting dressed when they show up? You know, like she's like putting the shirt on. I'm like, this is intentional and I don't know what I'm supposed to do with it, but like there's something here. Anyway.
But they never really take it any further.
No, I mean, it's like an appropriate level of her being like, I don't know. They clearly want the audience to think that she's hot. So it's an interesting balance between her being like overly hot and still being scary, you know, because she is scary.
The, just like the Kiss and Kate Barlow, like historical archival montages are amazing. And when I rewatched Yara's video about holes earlier just so I could refresh myself, and you put that like Kiss and Kate Barlow like fan cam.
Oh yeah, I did.
And I was like, that's exactly what I was gonna do.
I completely forgot about that, but yeah, no, because she was just such a badass. And like, that's just so cool that your signature is a lip print, just like
yes.
I love that.
It's the best, and it's Patricia Arquette, so that's amazing. I love her. The cast is a cast that I could not appreciate as a child, because I didn't know who anyone was.
Yeah.
But now that I've seen like a good amount of films that each of them have been in, I like realize like the weight of the fact that they were able to get all of these people in a kids movie. Like John
Like
Voight.
every time I watch it, I'm like, how were you guys able to pull Eartha Kitt? That does not make sense.
It makes no sense.
I was thinking about that last night too. I was like, did Eartha Kitt audition for this, or
No
were they
way.
like, we have this role for you? Because I can't imagine her like
she doesn't
like we wrote it for you, man.
Right, exactly. Like, please take it. I'm like, I can't imagine her like beating out some other bitches for this. Like, clearly it was for her. It was like given to her.
They wrote the screenplay and was like, it's Eartha.
Yeah.
Her up.
Yeah.
And it is perfect.
Yeah. And the score that does exist is really good. It's like very memorable.
I was just about to say. It's very, because I mean, every time I think about holes, I hear that. I don't even know what those instruments are, but you know that sound I'm talking about, like whines.
Yeah. Like
and
slide guitar.
it's just, it's kind of eerie, but intriguing and just completely unforgettable.
Yes.
It's a really good score.
Yes, I totally agree. I will clock in to say that every time I watch Holes, I appreciate Mr. Sir more and more. Like
the way he moves.
Like when he shoots the yellow spotted lizard in the scene when he's at night, the way he's walking around, it's just like such a great performance. And like I want to know, you know, when people make the joke that's like give me like the villain spinoff for X, like like the movie, like I would love a Mr. Sir movie personally. And coincidentally, so I'm in New York right now, and my boyfriend and I are staying in our friend's apartment who lives in the same building as John Voight. So we were like talking about like staking out the building and like trying to get John Voight on the like just like one blurb. But I'd be way too scared. God. I would be so scared to talk to John Voight. I would never actually want to do it.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah, that's a trip. I was actually right before it was time to call into this, I was thinking about John Voight beating holes, and I was like, did he know what it was about? Because it doesn't seem like it's really in line with his politics at all.
Right. Yeah.
I don't know. It's funny when that happens, like when actors are sort of incidentally in things that...
He's also in the Bratz movie, like, let us not forget.
It's just such a weird filmography, that man.
Yeah. His trajectory is insane.
Yeah.
Like, I recently watched Midnight Cowboy for the first time, and I was like, what?
Yeah.
And am I mistaken, or did John Voight, was he in Deliverance, or was that someone else?
I think you're right, but I could be wrong.
So, Midnight Cowboy, maybe Deliverance, the Bratz.
And he's like not even a big character in the Bratz movie. Like, it's so random. I don't know.
The man takes what he
Oh my
can
god,
get.
that's kind of like, have you guys seen Wish Upon?
No.
It has a really random cameo that in the movie, when I was watching it, I was like, is he lost? Why is he here?
He stumbled.
He's just game, I guess. You know?
I guess. I mean, I can appreciate that, but he definitely doesn't have like a vision. Apparently, he doesn't have like a vision for his genre or something.
He's just following the next check, you know?
Yeah.
The score is perfect, and it's like, I think the only movie that I know of that was made for kids that I can think of at the moment that had a score that was so immediately memorable. And also just the dialogue. And it's not even like some of the serious moments. It's like Squid saying, he's a mole. I think he eats the dirt. Like, so random. And it makes me laugh every time. Also, just the set, too, is really impressive. But I know, like, the set is similar to, like, a Western vibe, and Western sets are usually more affordable, but I think it's still really impressive and pretty cool.
Me too.
Yeah.
And just, I mean, everything about it, because there's so many movies that I watch again from my childhood, and I was like, oh, I had shitty taste. I get it. But, like, the Holes movie, it's just... Oh, this was great from the start, wasn't it? You know, and it's just so many things that the older you get, the more you appreciate it.
Yeah. I agree.
Yeah. So this is
also, if you forget to come back from Madame Zeroni. I'm sorry.
Oh, yeah.
Just that
No,
whole
I had
thing.
that
When I was a
too.
kid, it scared the crap out of me.
Yes. Yeah. She was scary, but amazing.
And it's great to impersonate, you know?
Yeah, totally.
Yes.
Very fun.
Yes. I just need a pipe.
Yes. Right. A rocking chair.
Yes.
It's very needed. Okay, so I'm just going to read some things from my notable list because they don't fall into any category. The first thing I wrote was, I wish they had sunglasses. That was one thing I was clearly thinking a lot while watching it. It's fucked up if they don't have sunglasses.
That would be too nice, I guess.
But, like, some of them have hats. Like,
yeah.
Why not throw in sunglasses? I don't know. What else? I really liked, well, okay, it's like the same thing as if you forget to carry Madame Zeroni up the mountain, but like the POV shots, like when Armpit pushes Stanley down and they're all like...
they're all over. It's Armpit. Yeah, that's good.
Yeah. Just like love. I like it when things are on the nose, you know, and the shot is very on the nose, but like I liked it. So when I was watching it yesterday, I was really analyzing like how the curse of the original Stanley not carrying Madame Zeroni up the mountain, like how it ended up affecting like the chain of events of the whole thing, because I was like, wait, so did Stanley Yelnats, not the one Stanley, not get killed by Kissin' Kate just coincidentally because like the curse is so powerful that it has to keep getting passed down to generation to generation?
He did get killed by her.
He didn't get killed by her. He was left in the desert. But
he survived.
Yeah.
Oh, right, yeah.
Because how else would they have been there?
Right, yeah.
Yeah.
Continue.
And I was just like thinking about that. I don't know. There's no answer, but I don't know. As I thought that, I was like, is that a thing that everyone else knew and I just like never noticed until now?
I mean, it does make a whole lot of sense because it's like, how can you be cursed if you're dead? You know what I mean? So it has to be passed down and the family has to keep going so the curse can keep going. Always an eternity.
Exactly.
Right. So dead, that's not always an eternity, man.
Yeah, right, exactly. It would have to end. And then one thing also, and like this might come up a little bit when we talk about the video that you made, Yhara, which everyone loves. But one thing that I found like very interesting about Holes upon this watch is that like, okay, with the entire plot line with Kissin' Kate and Sam, it's like the reason why ship blows up is because of explicit racism. Like they never say obviously racism,
right?
But like that's what it is. And then it's like, okay, you're gonna have a whole plot line where that's a huge part of it, and then you're gonna be like post-racial, like pretend to be like post-racial at the camp, and it's like the way that Dr. Pendansky is towards Zero especially, you're like, there's something here that they're like not saying. And like, and the fact that like Stanley's white, it's like, how different would this movie be if it wasn't like this already beloved by white America white boy in the lead role? Like, I just was thinking about that a lot.
No, that's good. I think I even did I mention that in the Holes video somewhere?
Yeah,
it was like the camp is a little bit whiter, so the commentary about maybe like black boys specifically being sent at large to prisons and everything is kind of almost muted in a sense.
Yeah, it's like watered down.
Yeah. And I know, I mean, I understand if you're making a story about kids, you don't want the racism to be too explicit because you don't want, like kids like me to feel like, oh my God, they just said the N-word, you know?
Right, of course.
Right.
Yeah.
Because even when you look at the extras too at the camp, a lot of them, well, not a lot of them, but there's a good chunk of white kids in there.
Yeah.
So you do wonder if they had mixed it up a bit more, would it be more telling, or I don't know.
Like the intensity of the like burning the schoolhouse flashback and like when Sam gets shot, it's like that is not kids movie shit. And there's like the creepy sheriff too, all in there. Like what a nightmare of a moment. But it really, I just think it's interesting that they're like, I don't know. I guess it's just very Disney to be like, bad things like that were in the past, not now.
Yeah.
You know?
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah. I also just wrote, this is in poor taste, but when they're on top of God's thumb, I wrote, "Is this gay?" question mark. Like when they're like wrestling in the mud, I was like, "Is this a little gay?" Like,
No.
I don't actually think it's gay, but like,
yeah, but I get it's
you know.
like you're like Brokeback Mountain.
Yeah, exactly. I'm like, are we having a moment?
But Zero is so baby.
I know, he really is.
He's so cute.
He's really cute.
I had such a crush on Cleo Thomas after that movie.
Yeah.
And actually, I was kind of disappointed when he grew up because I thought he was the same age as me. And I was like, what is this? Like when I saw Roll Bounce and he was a teenager, I was like, what? I thought you were my age. I felt very betrayed by him.
Okay, well, I feel like now would be a good time to segue into your video that you made, Yhara. So obviously this movie is about prison and prison alternatives in this sphere, but like,
oh yeah, because they're like, it's not a prison, it's a camp.
Right, they're like Camp Green Lake or jail.
Jail or jail.
Yeah, exactly. So tell us about your video. We loved it. I know you're really proud of it. It's one of your faves.
It is. It is. Well, I think it's because it came together so naturally, because usually for my videos I sort of plan them months in advance. Like I know what I'm doing, I have the thumbnail, I know the argument or whatever. But Holes happened because I watched Holes one day and I was like, oh my God, that's what it's about. Like I didn't realize, because it had been years since I had seen it, and I was like, oh my God, I've got to tell the world, as if the world didn't know.
You know, a lot of the world
didn't put that together.
Oh, okay. I thought I was just stating the obvious, you know?
No.
Because I always feel late to the party with certain things. And then I just started writing it, and it was one of those things that there was just so much information, prior knowledge I had already came to it with. So the research portion was like, oh, this book that I had already read. Oh, this, Angela Davis speech, just pulling those out and then writing it all together. And it just flowed so well. And it was, just very natural progression for that video.
Right.
And I think it's still, I don't know, it's just an effective one. And it's the only one I've ever let my mom watch. I refuse to tell her the name of my channel.
Oh my God.
She has only seen one, and it's because I sent her a QuickTime video of it. So
wow, the .mp4. You were not messing around.
I was like, you're not gonna find me. I want you.
So basically, in the video, the main thesis is that Holes is like a not so subtle allegory for the prison industrial complex.
Yes.
Do you want to just expand a little bit on the parallels there?
Yeah, sure. Okay. So,
like, please ramble. We want it.
I'm about to get ready. You're gonna have to cut a lot of this out. But I guess the first thing that comes to mind is the fact that Stanley does have to go to jail or Camp Green Lake for something he didn't do. It's just like an entirely misunderstood situation, and there's not a whole lot of effort put into figuring out what really happened. Which, even though Stanley is white, it's still a fact for what happens to a lot of black and brown kids in certain communities. And they get sent to jail, and with very little evidence, some of these cases, if you read up on some of them. And then they have the hardest time getting out, or they don't get out at all. So these systems take up 10 or so years of their life, and they can't learn anything or grow. And then when they get out, they don't have many other opportunities. And in Holes, you see this because when they get to Camp Green Lake, there's they never learn anything. They don't learn anything. They're just digging holes. And so by the time they get out, it's like they're going to be far behind from their peers and they're going to have a harder time catching up, and this is always going to be on their record and stuff. And I think, am I mistaken, or toward the end do they say something about their records, or you know, there's missing records and stuff?
Yeah.
And it's just, that's another portion of how it's so easy to get lost in the system, you know, and to be forgotten in the system. Holes is just brilliant when it comes to all those things. And like when I was younger, it was like, oh, a movie about digging holes and curses. And then I got older and I was like, oh God, I mean, are prisons obsolete? Like that's basically Holes, what it reminds me of.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah, and the fact that it's such a like direct allegory too, because they are, it turns out, literally digging to find money. Like,
yes.
Yeah.
And that's the whole thing, you know, being sent to prison for labor, for the economy and stuff like that. Oh, and you have to pay your debt to society by working without pay like a slave. It's like Angela Davis said, I can't remember the exact quote, so I'm going to paraphrase, but basically that racism and systems of racism can sort of hide itself in things like prisons. And you see that a lot, especially with was it X-Ray, who was there for 18 months? And he was just like looking for an out. I haven't found anything in 18 months, and like, if you find something, give it to me. So I can finally get something.
They keep stating to the campers over and over again, like, you're not looking for anything, you're just building character. It's
exactly
a blatant lie.
Yeah, and that's part of what makes the movie so good, is that like the anger you feel at the adults is actually so righteous, because it's clearly such a lie what they're telling them. And it really does, I mean, it's also very interesting that the author of the book said that all of the coincidence, like he said it was all coincidence basically, right?
Did he?
Well, isn't that what was in your video, that he was like, if it's like that, I didn't make it that way?
It was like he didn't make it with a specific political agenda, basically, is what he was saying.
I think in mine, I was like, I'm not saying that's for sure it, because I wasn't sure what Louis Sacker had said about it. And see, I said his name right this time. Look at me. Learning.
Gross.
I wasn't sure what he had said about it, and so I was like, you know what, if this isn't what he intended to say, and I know how some authors, they like really hate allegory, like what's his face, what is his face, the guy who did the Lord of the Rings.
Wait, Lord of the Rings, Tolkien,
yeah his face,
yeah.
Some authors don't like allegory, or they don't like people reading into their stuff, so I just did that as like a disclaimer, like, I don't know if that's what he meant to do, but that's what he did.
I feel like a lot of authors just say that, you know, and filmmakers, people who make art in general, it's kind of like the worst and the best, but like when I feel like so many creative people will be like, and like lyricists or musicians, they'll be like, oh, it means whatever you want.
Right.
Yeah.
I'm like,
they'll be like, oh, it's
yeah.
not political at all. And it's almost like, you know, like all art is political to a degree. So
yeah.
Okay,
yeah.
But,
right.
But
Like
sure.
it doesn't exist in a vacuum, so you didn't just get these things from nowhere. I don't know.
Right.
Like, I get that response, but I usually just wish I knew them personally, so I could be like, okay, but what is it really about?
Yeah, right.
You can tell me. I won't tell anyone.
Yeah, like, I just want to know.
I'm just curious. Okay, I'm looking at my list of bad things. Do I really have anything?
I mean, there's
bad?
There's really not much compared to our normal
There's
fare,
some
but
bad things. There's
Yeah.
you know, John Voight, but he's like giving a good performance. It's just unfortunate
Right.
that he's there.
Yeah.
That is
And this
true.
isn't like a bad, like a negative point on the movie. It's just one of those things, you know, it makes your blood boil, is like Pandansky and all of his shit towards Zero.
Yeah.
And oh my God, it makes me so angry every single time. And then when he hits him with that shovel.
Yep.
Oh,
It's
yes.
like, that is cinema. Okay?
It's glorious.
That's why we go to the movies.
Exactly. It feels so good every
Yeah.
time. Dig, and then he runs. Oh my God. You know
Yeah.
what? That is powerful right there.
Yes.
It is.
Yes.
And
it's so true.
I really love his performance in Zero's performance. Like, it's just genuinely a great like a great actor's performance. Like, it really is.
Yeah. He's like really like shy and to himself without relying solely on like vulnerability to get that across, or solely on anger. It's like an even mix of both, and you can tell he has a lot of frustrations within him, and he is vulnerable, but it's just this nice balance that Cleo Thomas brought to it. You know, actor of our generation, that guy.
I mean, retroactive Oscar. We should provide
truly.
it.
I will say the one thing that like didn't hit as much as it has in the past for me was just like, so basically the whole movie is like, it's like about like Deus Ex Machina, basically, like that's the whole point, but it's like so much, like there are so many things in the movie that you're like, okay, I get it, it's connected, like I didn't even realize until literally yesterday, or maybe I had forgotten, but when they find the onion patch on top of God's thumb, I was like, and it's the onions because it's Sam's onions. It's just like every single thing is connected, which like is really fun, but at the same time it's like, let us breathe.
I have this theory though that a lot of movies that we've seen, well, not movies, but like This Is Us and that other movie made by the people who made This Is Us, it's all inspired by holes, man. All of it.
Yeah?
All that interconnectedness.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean,
someone was watching Holes a lot.
Somebody
wrote This Is Us.
Yeah, somebody absorbed all that.
That's me with using Aquamarine as my plot template for like someone's like, this person watched Aquamarine way too many times. Yeah, that's gonna be me 100%.
It's good for kids though. I think kids feel really smart when they
can put the connected dots. Yeah, totally.
Oh yeah.
Totally.
I felt like when I first saw Inception, I was like, Holes prepared me for this.
Yeah. Yeah, I feel like the extent of the allegories that you get normally from kids' movies, they're all fairy tale based.
Yeah.
Like, and they're not allegories. It's not the right. It's like reference too. So you can only feel so smart when you understand that a Cinderella story is about Cinderella.
Yeah.
Like, yeah. Or Ella Enchanted was like the elevated version of that.
Oh my god. Elevated.
Oh my god, Ella Enchanted.
Yeah.
Hey.
I remember when I found out that people hated Ella Enchanted, I was like, what?
I mean, actually, I do have to say, the three characters that actually set all of the shit in motion are women. The Warden, Kate, and Madame Zeroni. And those are all amazing characters. And not like super sweet or like idyllic people either. And I feel like, especially for us, we were very into that sort of thing. Complicated.
It's sort of like
characters.
they're very flawed in a way that went beyond anything we had seen in movies, especially our demographic was watching at the time.
Yes. And like very much like vengeful or determined in a way that was very like unfettered.
Yeah, I thought that was so cool. And I remember the first time I watched Holes and seeing that montage of Kate Barlow and thinking like, is she bad now? And then realizing, oh no, that's not, like, it's more complex than that. And I think that might have been the first time I saw something like that.
Yeah. I feel like, okay, maybe this is the deep takeaway, is that the thing with Holes is that like, when you're a little kid and you're watching something about a bunch of kids who are in prison, who are like bad kids or like bad people, like you assume when you don't know better, like, oh, like they must be bad people, like we like empathizing with them is a bad idea.
Right.
But the whole point of the movie is like that there's way more to the story than you think there is with everyone. Yeah, I
would say Holes was very influential in that regard, because before that it would be like, oh, this kid's bad, you don't want to be associated with him. And then after Holes it was like, there was more to this kid. I'm gonna befriend this kid. And maybe that's why it stuck with us so much, is because it did have a lot of value and a lot of morals, but ones that weren't like being shoved down our throat, like we barely noticed.
Totally.
Yeah, which is like the mark of a great
also
film.
The soundtrack, all the bangers.
Also, just one thing I was saying last night to Audrey, just in the book, a big part of the plot is that Stanley is like significantly like he's like obese at the beginning of the story, and he like loses a bunch of weight. That I just find to be interesting, and it's kind of like a good like it actually acknowledges that what they're doing is like extremely physically like challenging.
Yeah.
Because they don't
they
really
downplay it.
They kind of downplay it in the movie. Like it's really brutal what they're doing.
Mm-hmm.
Like
you
they
know,
couldn't
I was
survive
like,
it.
Yeah.
Because the intensity of it, as you watch the movie, it doesn't weigh as heavy.
Right.
But they give you that introduction with Barf Bag and the rattlesnake. And that's like, oh, this is really intense. But then you get more into it and you kind of get used to it, that you almost forget the brutality of it.
Yeah.
And I wonder if that was intentional too, you know?
Yeah,
but,
right.
Ooh, that rattlesnake. Also,
I know.
Barf Bag has a booger in his nose. In the beginning of that part.
Really?
Have you guys ever noticed it?
No.
Oh, when he when he tilts his head back and he screams, it's just right there. My sister always used to point it out. She would be like, he needs to
Someone needed to wipe his nose. Like someone had to check him.
I'm sorry to say something really serious and then follow it with like also booger, but like I just felt like I had to say it.
That's the range that we're looking for.
Yeah, that's what we like, honestly.
Yeah.
Holes might be the defining film of our youth.
Yeah.
And that's my final idea.
Yes, I
because
agree.
it's like, it's not just that it's still a good movie, it's also that so many of the politics being shown in it are things that I'm like, you know, like that's part of how I was raised, and it's a lot what I don't know, it's anti-prison.
Yeah.
Which is sort of where I'm at. So,
Right.
I don't know, I feel like it's very, I identify with it a lot. More than I do maybe like Ginger Snaps, which I do identify with a lot because I am actually a werewolf, but I didn't say that, you know.
Of course.
It's no one's business.
Like the whole point of it being about like empathizing with people and also secretly about abolition really does align with things that our generation cares about. But you know, the seeds were planted long ago with Holes.
Right.
And here we are.
And I'm like, whoa, was I radicalized by a Disney film?
Yeah, I don't think Disney meant to do that. I don't know.
No, that was totally accidental on their part.
Yeah.
They're like, oops.
Yep.
It's
Shouldn't
so
have
crazy.
funded that one.
On that note, Yhara, you're an angel and a dream. Thank you for joining us.
Should I do like a special goodbye pose or like, you know?
Well, I have to ask you the obligatory, where can our listeners find you and your work?
Okay, you can find me on YouTube, Yhara Zayd. You can also find me on Instagram. I never update, but you can find me there. And that's pretty much it because I've wiped the rest of my social media.
You know, because Yhara has boundaries, and we should all aspire
That's
to
what
that.
we're learning today, is that...
Well, sometimes it just gets depressing, social media. So it's like, let me just take a break because this is making me sad.
Yes. It is
so healthy of you.
Oh,
Literally.
but also Letterboxd because I'm always writing like these one-sentence reviews of movies.
Yes.
Shark Tale, top 10 mafia films, you know? So follow me
Where's
there.
the lie? Where's the lie?
Cool. Well, thank you so much for joining us, as always. And we'll
you
find
for
another
having
reason to have you back, I'm sure.
No, you should do another Holes one with Pirates of the Caribbean and let's discuss that.
Just get into
those
that.
themes.
Yes.
Yeah.
We really should. But thank you to you, whoever you are listening at home. We appreciate you, and we will be back. We will be back next week with another episode. And we'll see you then.
You can find more from us at evergreenpodcast.com/sleepover-cinema and keep up with our latest creative projects at toopinkpictures.com. If you want to watch our show as well as listen, we're on YouTube too. Search Sleepover Cinema or go to the link tree in our Instagram bio. We're on Instagram and Twitter at toopinkpictures and would love to hear from you there. We're also on TikTok at Sleepover Cinema, and that's really where the party is at.
And if you like the show, if it brings back evocative memories of childhood or tweendom or babysitting, share the episode with a few friends. Leave us an iTunes review telling us what movie you'd like to see us cover next, and leave us a review if you like the show, and if you don't. Sleepover Cinema is a production of Evergreen Podcasts, produced, edited, and engineered by us, Hannah and Audrey Leach. Sleepover Cinema is mixed by Sean Rule Hoffman with theme music by Josh Perlman Hall. Special thanks to executive producers Michael D'Aloia and David Moss. We'll chat again soon.